Aloha kako. Welcome to Kauai Community Radio's Talk Story. Talk Story, or Vala'au in Hawaiian, loosely translates as reminiscing and communicating. In this talk story, we had the pleasure of speaking with Paula Fuga. Paula Fuga is a contemporary Hawaiian musician. Through her challenging childhood, Paula always knew her future was as a singer. She's traveled the world and is often asked to speak at youth events to share her powerful story. Her strength and purpose is directed towards inspiring others to hope for something better, to dream big and believe that they can achieve those dreams. In 2007, Paula received the Nā Hoku Hanohano Award as the most promising artist of the year. Helping others is part of who she is, from the nonprofit organizations she's formed to those she supports. She's proud of her ability to give back to the community. Let's catch up with Paula Fuga and talk story.
This is Thomas from Kauai Community Radio, joined with Paula Fuga in the studio. Thanks for being here today, Paula. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you were born, where you're from?
Yeah, hey, aloha, Thomas. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm actually from Waimanalo on the island of Oahu, but I was born in Louisiana. My dad was in the military when I was born, and so I like to think that's where I get my soulfulness from, Louisiana. I was born in a place called Leesville, which ends up, it's the Bible Belt of the whole state of Louisiana. Can you believe that? I truly believe that's why I love soulful music and gospel music. I'm convinced there's no way you could convince me otherwise. Yeah, I grew up in Waimanalo for the most part. My grandparents lived there my entire life. And so that was kind of home base no matter where I lived throughout my childhood. Yeah, I loved growing up there. I love watching the clouds gather at the top of the mountain like a lei of beautiful white fluffy clouds just sitting at the top of the mountains, and just being able to see it whenever. And growing up on that side, it's just so green and lush and beautiful and super laid back and country.
And growing up on Oahu, what was that like for you?
Oh, growing up on Oahu, well, I had a kind of a rough start in life. My parents got divorced when I was young, and then my dad split, and my mom, she kind of didn't handle things so well, and she got heavy into drugs. And so my whole life I moved around. I probably went to total 8 different schools throughout my education, like from preschool or kindergarten to 12th grade. So yeah, I kind of moved around a lot. Those lessons that I learned from my mother's mistakes were super valuable. And of course, you don't see it when you're a kid, that this patch in life is a blessing, until you get some retrospect, Now, as a musician in the entertainment industry, I'm glad that I saw my mom experience those struggles with substance abuse, because now I'm not even tempted to, do drugs and stuff like that. And so it's actually a blessing, because had I to learn about it on my own and go through those temptations, or, if I never knew what road crack led to, I might have ended up a crackhead, And so I definitely see that experience growing up and having my mom go through those struggles as a blessing for me, because I don't have to go through them anymore, because I saw the outcome of those actions or those choices. I had some really wonderful teachers throughout my school years, and so having those adults to care about me and kind of set me straight, that was a real blessing. And I wasn't really one of those kids who were like, ooh, school today, that wasn't me, but definitely did have an escape. And a lot of kids, even still today, a lot of impoverished families, the kids look forward to school because that's their only sure meal every day, breakfast and lunch, And so for me, I'm definitely certain that was a part of it for me. Like just knowing, what's for lunch today. I think that was like the best part of school for me was lunch. But I mean, it sounds kind of funny right saying it right now, but it's the truth. And that's what it is, But I did have those wonderful teachers who believed in me and let me write songs during English class in high school. And I had teachers who encouraged me to dream big and know that I could achieve things in life in spite of where I've started out from. So,
can you talk a little bit about the importance of music being taught in the school systems, and is it continuing today to help the children?
Oh, music is such a big and important thing in life. And, I think that all kids need music. It teaches them so many things, even if it's not classical music that they're learning, even if it's just Row, Row, Row Your Boat or Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Stars. These songs are important because it teaches them how to remember, it helps them work their memory, and they learn words, stories through songs, the way that people function, like certain things in the songs. I actually used to be a teacher's aide in a preschool a couple times in my life. And so I definitely feel like songs are so important for kids to learn, and there are so many lessons you can teach within a song. How to harmonize, working together, all these beautiful things, these beautiful lessons. And it's important that they incorporate that in education. Music is such a helpful tool. If you think hard enough, you can find a song that's written about literally anything.
You want to play a song? Shall we keep talking story?
Sure. I'll play this song. I was actually on my way home from a weekend with some friends, and I was working at a school teaching Hawaiian studies. And there was a traffic accident, and I was so frustrated because I didn't want to be late for work. I realized that the reason we were stuck in traffic was because there was an accident. And so I wrote this song in my frustration. I had a moment of clarity, and my thoughts were, why are you so upset? I mean, you're perfectly fine, but somebody could be dead for all you know. Or at the very least, their whole day is ruined. They have to get a new car or fix their car, get a loaner car, whatever, figure out these things. And I thought, being late to work is nothing compared to what these people are experiencing. And so I wrote this song called Country Road. I'll play it for you guys right now. Sometimes it's hard to ease my mind to realize you're always with me, waiting, willing to hear my prayers, my hopes, my dreams, my every need. I pray for light in times of darkness. What's meant to be will always be, though I control my destiny. Free will you gave me, even though you made me. Be careful of the things you do, it eventually comes back to you. Universal law, Babylon shall fall. Sometimes it's hard to ease my mind to realize you're always with me, waiting, willing to hear my prayers, my hopes, my dreams, my every need. I pray for peace in times of war. destruction of civilization's past is consequence of forest trash. The air you breathe is a gift from the trees. What goes up must come back down. What goes around comes back around. The things you do shall be done unto you. Sometimes it's hard to ease my mind to realize you're always with me, waiting, willing to hear my prayers, my hopes, my dreams, my every need. I pray for light in times of darkness. Universal law, Babylon shall fall. The things you do shall be done unto you.
What kind of ukulele are you playing today?
Well, her name is Popolo Berry, and she's a Kamaka ukulele. She was a gift from the Kamaka Ohana. When I went to go pick it up, because I asked them to make it, it was a custom ordered ukulele. And they're like, I was kind of in the beginning of my career. I wasn't like into fancy things back then. Nah. You know what I mean? I'm like super plain. They're like, what do you want? You can have anything. Do you want this? Do you want that? And I was like, no, how about semi-gloss, just plain, you know. Like, when they gave me the wood, it was black. They let me, I went into the factory to pick out the wood, and it was completely black. I mean, you can see the gold in the grain now, but unfinished, it was like a very, very dark wood. And so I chose it. Then I named her Popolo Berry because the Popolo berry is black. It's a native Hawaiian berry. And so that's why I named her that, because she was black when I picked the wood out. And then I was surprised that there was so much gold in the grain, the curly koa, because it was so dark, you know, when I picked it. So, yeah. And I like it because it sounds fuller. And it's my dream ukulele, believe it or not. 6-string tenor kamaka. Yeah.
You've worked and collaborated with so many different musicians over your career so far. Who are you influenced by today, musically?
I don't really know if it's a person, but I just think that life, you know, life is inspiring. My influences are very different. I really love the way that hip-hop artists tell stories. Hard, true stories, and I love the way that they're able to express themselves in their lyrics, you know. In particular, my favorite artists are Erykah Badu. She's like probably my number one favorite singer, lyricist. And then this new guy, his name is Kendrick Lamar. And I just love the way he expresses himself, and so bold and blatant and unapologetic, and I admire that. I'd never, incorporate some of the language that other people incorporate in my own music, but that's me. But I appreciate that about other musicians, you know. I can appreciate that, their expression and their choice of words. Also, Mike Love is a big influence in my music. He's like a big brother to me, even though he's younger. I look up to him like a big brother, and he just came out with his album, and his music is just so beautiful, and I love the way he expresses himself, and I love the way he lets music flow out of him naturally, and he doesn't sit down and think, oh, okay, I'm gonna write a reggae song right now. You know, it's like he doesn't think like that, and that's kind of the way that I think too. You know, like I don't focus on the type of music that I want to write. It just sort of comes out however. And so my music is definitely, you can hear a lot of different influences. I love reggae music, but some songs that come out sound a little bit more country or bluegrass of my own music. Some blues influence. I love Aretha Franklin and all the soul she sings with. Stevie Wonder and his amazing complicated melodies. He's the best. And his vocals, I mean, just hearing the way he sings, I mean, it's just like he's so unpredictable with his melodies, you know. and love Nako and Medicine for the People. And Nako's just a phenomenal lyricist and songwriter, and I love his bold approach to storytelling through music as well. And if you listen to his music, you'll hear some really harsh and hard to wrap your head around things that he sings about. And it's his life, his true stories from his actual life. And I appreciate the way that he can be bold and tell those heart-wrenching stories in a song so nonchalantly, And I really admire and appreciate that. And hopefully I could, draw from those examples and be more bold with my songwriting too.
How important are the natural elements found here in Hawaii to you and your songwriting?
I actually never considered that for a long time, up until maybe a month ago. Someone asked me to come and play at a conservation conference, and they wrote their description of me in their program or something, and it said something like, Paula's gonna be singing songs about aloha aina, and I thought about it for a second. I was like, wow, yeah, there's a lot of aina references or references of the environment and in nature, in my songs. And I love that. It's my favorite thing, I love being in nature, and I love being under the trees. I always say there is no better shade than that of a tree. So this song, Lily Koi, that I want to sing for you guys now, it's the title track of my first album. It has a Hawaiian verse inside of it. And the Hawaiian verse says, if I want to catch a fish, I must first tend to my lo'i. Then the fish pond will fill up, and I will be able to choose with correctness, or I'll be able to choose correctly, the fish. And it's a metaphor. The lo'i is a taro patch. You are the lo'i. I am the lo'i, my own lo'i. And if I take care of myself, then, if you take care of your taro patch, all the nutrients that run off from that patch that you took care of is going to go into the river and eventually make its way to the muliwai, which is the mouth of the river. And sometimes there's a fish pond that's built at the muliwai, the mouth of certain rivers, and then they have a opening. They put a gate over there. It's called a makaha. And so the fish come into the pond. They eat all the nutrients that flow down from the lo'i. They eat all the nutrients left on the rocks or just in the water, and they get so fat that they can't swim back out. And then once that happens, your fish pond is full, and you can choose any fish you like. And that was a metaphor for love for me, or for anybody. If you love yourself and truly take care of yourself, somebody who is happy and confident, that's an attractive thing, and you're just naturally going to glow and be brilliant and shining a beautiful light, which is attractive to, persons of the opposite sex or whatever, love interests. And then, anyway, so that is one of the songs that I think has a ultimate reference of nature, how it works. And, I think that it's one of my finest examples of referencing nature in my music. And I like to play that song for you guys, if that's cool.
Very cool. Thank you.
But anyway, Lily Koi.
Sour like a lily koi. Oh, my joy, like smoke rising from the fire, taking me higher. determine how I feel about me too. But now I know I must be one within before I create my own kin. I must be strong, I must rely on the Father. An independent daughter needs a strong, courageous mother. And now I know, I see the light, it's clear to me now. And now I know, sweet and sour like a lily Kauai. Whoa, whoa, my joy, like smoke rising from the fire, taking me higher. Ina mama ke au e hopu I kaia, pono e malama I ka lo'i, e pia ana I ka loko ia, hiki no ke koho me ka pono. And now I know, whoa, I'm mo po po. From the fire, taking me higher. And now I know, whoa, I'm a po-po.
How does it feel to be Paula Fuga right now?
Me? It feels cool. I mean, I'm happy and blessed to be where I am today in my life and in my career, and look forward to all the many blessings to come, and feel grateful for where I've been in my life and where I am right now. So I'm in the right place.
Your ukulele playing is beautiful and it seems so natural for you. When did you begin playing and ultimately feel comfortable with the ukulele?
Well, I'm still becoming comfortable. I'm still learning. I've always considered myself more of a singer, a vocalist, and ukulele was kind of secondary to me all these years. I just basically wanted to be able to play along to accompany my voice, so I could be able to sing. And I'm still learning and growing and practicing, and hope to get more comfortable as time goes on. And yeah, I think I'm the most comfortable I've ever been in my ukulele playing right now.
What was it like for you stepping into a studio to record an album for the first time?
It wasn't surprising. It sounds crazy right now, but when I was little, 4 or 5 years old, remember that song, Sing, from Karen Carpenter? Mm-hmm. The Carpenters?
Yeah.
sing a song. And there was a chorus. There was a bunch of kids singing in that chorus. La 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 la. Well, when I was a little kid, I imagined I was one of those kids in that studio, you know. So, and before I recorded Lilikoi, I had been in various studios to record as a guest vocalist on other people's albums. So it wasn't like this weird feeling like, oh my gosh, it wasn't surreal for me, you know. It was like natural. It was like I've always been in studios, and I always knew from when I was that young that I'd be a singer and I'd record music. And how does a kid even know what a studio looks like, right? With headphones, and I saw windows with plexiglass, you know, like a sound booth, like in my visions when I was a kid, like 4 or 5 years old. So it's something that I always knew was gonna happen, and it's not like a surprising feeling. It wasn't like a, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here. It was like, yeah, I'm here. I was supposed to be here, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like a pinch yourself type of moment. It was like, yep, just another day in my life that's supposed to happen. Kind of, you know, for me. But
Did you ever dream of playing Madison Square Garden?
never. I never dreamt of playing Madison Square Garden ever. I mean, I knew I'd travel all over the world, but I never had any ideas of exactly where or what venues. And I still have a dream venue that I want to play at, and it's my goal to play at this certain venue. And I truly believe with all my heart that this is the venue of my vision as a 10-year-old child. Some corrupt adult in my life, no, seriously, I'm not even joking, asked me kind of in a cynical way, you know, like, so what do you want to be when you grow up, in that tone of voice? And I mean, this is a person not worthy of sharing your dreams with, you know. And so I looked away for a second, and I saw myself standing on a stage in front of an audience I couldn't even number. I don't know how many people were even there, but it was like a wall of people, and it was outdoors, and there was this whitish blue light shining on me, and I was holding a cordless microphone, and I knew that the people sitting there in those seats were there to see me. And it was like a vision, you know, that came into my mind. And I turned to the guy, this adult who I didn't feel comfortable sharing my truest feelings with. I turned to him and I said, a teacher. I want to be a teacher when I grow up. And the funny thing is, I think the biggest way that I could ever teach is through music, you know. I was a teacher's aide, and I thought at one time in my life that I would be maybe a Hawaiian language preschool teacher. And I was a teacher's aide in a Hawaiian language preschool, and I tell you, that was seriously the best job I ever had in my life. Best job as in like 9 to 5, you know. I got paid to go love up some babies and play with them all day long in Maka'olelo Hawai'i in Hawaiian language, and that's, you know, a huge blessing.
Talk Story with Paula Fuga will return after station identification.
As far as Hawaiian music, what changes have you observed in Hawaiian music, and where do you see it going?
I'm definitely a part of that change that's occurring. You know, it's really interesting, the concept of Hawaiian music, you know, because it means different things to a lot of different people. What was Hawaiian music back in the 70s was not. It was like super contemporary, you know. And today, that contemporary music is considered Hawaiian music, you know. Like those 70s groups like Kalapana and C&K and all those guys, when they made those albums, that music, introduced that kind of music to Hawaii, Country Comfort, Peter Moon Band, you know, all these amazing jammers they rip and shred. Back in those days, the people in Hawaii considered it a little bit rock and roll, you know. It wasn't Hawaiian music. But today, that's Hawaiian music, you know, 40 years later. And I think today, Hawaiian music is sort of being reinvented. And then you'll have your traditionalists, your traditional Hawaiian music lovers, enthusiasts, music makers, the hula community. This is not Hawaiian music to that side of the music industry or the music scene. Yeah, it's really interesting because I've always felt excluded from that, you know, the traditional Hawaiian music scene, which incorporates the hula world in Hawaii. Recently, I was invited to play at Mary Monarch to sing backup for a friend of mine, and the halau we sang for won first place overall. Now I'm feeling like I'm being embraced by that side of the Hawaiian music scene and the Hawaiian music community, the hula world. And it's really interesting. I was just honored to have one of my songs chosen. They call it 25 most influential songs in Hawaiian music since 2000. And my song Loloivi, which I recorded on my first album, is a very roots reggae song. Very deep and rootsy, you know, feeling to it. But I wrote it all in Hawaiian. My first song that I ever wrote, Maka'olelo Hawai'i Valeno. I'm super honored that it's been considered, you know, one of the top 25 influential songs in Hawaiian music, because I think during that time is when there started to be a true shift in the way people looked at music and the way I look at Hawaiian music too. I thought my whole life, you know, growing up, yeah, one day when I'm old and I'm a grandma, I'll sing for my granddaughters who dance hula, you know, and I'll sing Hawaiian music in Hawaiian. And maybe about, I think it was 2004, I went to a Tahitian performance at Waikiki Shell. And this group from California, Nonosina, their performance was very theatrical in everything, you know. He had the girls wear cellophane skirts to mimic the sounds of the ocean. So when they swayed, it was like whoosh, whoosh. The skirts made that sound. Whoosh, whoosh, everything. This guy's a genius, I tell you. His name is Mevina Liufau, if you guys ever get to look him up. And it's really cool because when I came out with my album Lilikoi, he was so stoked about it and so happy for me. And he just said, wow, my gosh, you're like a visionary. You know, like I never heard music like this before. And little did he know that he was responsible for that. Yeah. And so it was really cool to credit him and be like, no, man, it's because of you, you know, your influence on me. Now, something about those Tahitian competitions, those hula competitions, the halau will get 45 minutes. And in that time, they have to present their keiki. And if they have keiki kane, it's separate from kaika mahine, you know, the girls. And then they have little bit older girls, maybe in their teens to young adults. Then they'll have their kane, their men. Then they'll have their moms and the grandmas, you know, the older ladies. You know, they have like 5 or 6 different groups they need to present during this 45-minute block of time. But this one group from California, and they have vision like no other halau that I've experienced. They have a vision like no other. They took that 45 minutes, told one long story, and had their keikis come up in the middle of their 45 minutes. And not one single time was the stage left empty. And generally, what would happen is the kids would come on, they'll dance their number, they leave the stage. The girls will come on, they'll dance their number, they'll leave the stage. You know, something like that. But not once was this stage empty. And there came this one part where it was this man. He was exiled from his island and he was caught in a storm. He was in a canoe. He got his boat capsized. He ended up washing onto shore. And this beautiful woman came and nursed him back to good health. But she was a lowly woman. She was like a commoner. And this guy that washed onto shore, he was an ali'i. He was a chief, royalty. And he's accustomed to a certain type of lifestyle. And then there was this, in the story, the girl goes and gets her chiefess, who's even more beautiful than her. And she has all the power that this man is accustomed to, right? So he comes and the chiefess is interested in him. The commoner is interested in him. And he's like, what do I do? Do I stay with this beautiful vahine that just rescued me? Or do I go with the chiefess, who's her boss, obviously, and she'll give me the life that I deserve and I am entitled to, or whatever, I'm used to. And then in that moment, there was this beautiful R&B lick that started to play. It was an R&B song, and I recognized it instantly. It was Sade's Sweetest Taboo. And the guy started singing in Tahitian, and it just blew my doors. I started crying. It was like an epiphany. Like I felt trapped inside of language. And I thought, up until that moment, I thought that to use Hawaiian language, I'd need to sing traditional Hawaiian music. And in that moment, all my guards, all my barriers came down, and I knew there are no rules. You can sing Hawaiian music, Hawaiian language to any kind of music. Reggae, R&B, jazz, whatever you want. There are no rules, You confine yourself to the rules you make up in your own mind, the limitations you set for yourself. And so, yeah, at that moment, I knew that I could write a song all in Hawaiian if I wanted to. And it didn't need to be traditionally Hawaiian music. And maybe I'll play that song for you guys right now. Song called Loloivi, which means bone marrow. Iku umauhi
So I love how you blend both English and the Hawaiian language in your songs. When did you first learn to speak Hawaiian? Was that something in school, or was that something in your house?
Oh, it's definitely something I had to learn in school. Hawaiian language is banned for over 80 years, maybe like 86 years, from all public and private schools. So in 1896, there was a law that was passed banning Hawaiian from all public and private schools. And it wasn't until 1978 there was a constitutional convention. They called it the Con in Hawaii, and they amended that law, making it the main language of Hawaii and English the secondary language in the state. During that time, that's the year I was born, actually. During the 70s, there was what we call in Hawaiian history today, we call it the Hawaiian Renaissance period, when there was a resurgence of cultural knowledge and appreciation, because before that, like my grandparents and their parents were told not to speak Hawaiian. So my grandparents grew up not speaking Hawaiian. You'll see it in the names of kids, the more English names. So all my grandma's kids had English names. All my mom's kids have English names, and the naming of the children will tell you the importance of the language in the household. Also the pride that the household felt about the language and these names, the naming of their children too. So you'll see it if you look in the older people. They'll have a lot of Christian names, like Abigail and Sarah, or things like that. These are names in my own family that exist in my family too. So yeah, they never really spoke Hawaiian. It's a thing that you went to school to learn, in my experience anyway. Definitely room for growth, learning more about the language and the poetry in the meanings of the words and things like that.
Do you have a favorite song that you play?
Every day I'll probably have a different one. Just like food, if you ask me what's my favorite thing to eat today, it'll be different than it'll be tomorrow. But right now, my favorite song is a new one that I wrote. It's the title track of my next album called Rain on Sunday. And I wrote this on a Sunday. I just finished eating breakfast with my husband. I went into the living room and he was watching TV. And then it started to rain. And it was that really big rain, that heavy rain. The raindrops that sound like this. And it's just unpredictable and loud and heavy. And I was like, oh, it's raining. And my husband's like, and? I'm like, listen. He's like, what? I'm like, listen to the rain. He looks at me like I'm crazy. And I look at him like he's the crazy one. I'm like, turn off the TV. And he's all irritated. He's like, I'm watching something or whatever. I'm like, oh, man, this guy sucks. And so I sulk on my couch for like 2 minutes. And then this melody comes into my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful melody. I take my uke off the wall behind the couch and I go into our bedroom and I wrote this song, and I tell you it was just so beautiful. Right outside my window there were birds singing in the rain and just having a beautiful time, and it was the most beautiful feeling. And I think that I'm glad my husband didn't want to turn off that TV, because I never would have wrote this song. But anyway, I want to play it for you guys. Rain on Sunday. Listen to the rain on a Sunday morning.
wash away all those plans you might have been making if the sun came out today. Listen to the birds sing and the puddles flapping their wings. Can you hear them rejoicing? Thank you for this day. And turn off the TV. Do something inspiring. Electronic devices, put them all away and listen to the rain on a Sunday morning and let it fall and wash away all those plans you might have been making if the sun came out today. 'Cause Mother Nature's melody, whispering wind through the trees, let it fill you with good energy. Then get outside and play. Take a walk on the beach tonight, neath the twinkling starlight. Wish I may, wish I might, but you're my wish come true. We'll watch that sunrise. You see it through my eyes, and oh, what a beautiful sight, blessed by the light of day. So listen to the rain on a Sunday morning and let it fall, let it wash away all those plans you might have been making if the sun came out today. If the sun came out today.
Beautiful. Really soulful.
Thank you.
How can people find out more about you?
People can find out more about me by checking out my website. It's paulafuga.com. I also have a Facebook page. It's called The Real Paula Fuga Fan Page, because there is a fake one. And then I'm on Instagram as P-Funk Love. That's P-Funk Love. And then I'm on Twitter, Paula Fuga.
You recorded an album in 2006, Lily Koi, and then you have an EP that you put out called Misery's End, featuring Jack Johnson and Ziggy Marley.
Uh-huh.
What's next?
Well, right now I'm currently working on my second album, my second full-length album, which was funded by Kickstarter, all my supporters on Kickstarter, so I'm really grateful for that. And Mike Loves, he's going to be one of the co-producers on my album, so really looking forward to that and hoping that it will come out in May in 2016. I'm trying to release it at least on the 10th anniversary of my first album, so yeah, I'm really looking forward to that, celebrating that.
What impact would you like your music to have?
I'd love my music to reach all the hearts of those who feel like they need it,
Is there any other songs that you'd care to share with us today?
Yeah, actually I'd love to share this song. It's called Tangled, and I wrote it about 6 or 7 years ago, but I've yet to record it. And I'm deathly allergic to dogs. And so I use this song kind of like a metaphor, talking about my true reactions to literal dogs, you know, canines. And then, you know, kind of metaphorically also just what happens when I run into people who are doggy. It's a song called Tangled. And this will finally be released on my upcoming album. So I'm really, really looking forward to sharing this with everybody.
Oh, this itching in my throat. I try to be respectful, maintaining my pride. Give benefit to doubt, think I can do without. Hope you feel my silence and my positive vibes. You're a dog, I'm allergic to you. I thought that we'd be cool, but tell me, what am I supposed to do, you dog? Said I'm allergic to fools. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. What you do comes back to you. I see you walking down the street. Oh man, you look so thin. I offer something to eat. Take more than I'm giving. Think life ain't worth living. Get tangled in your cycle. Learn to say it yourself. Free dog, I'm allergic to you. I thought that we'd be cool, but tell me, what am I supposed to do, you dog? Said I'm allergic to fools. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. What you do comes back to you. Don't you come barking up my tree. Don't think you're taking over, mark my territory. You're the front of the litter, so don't let your head get bigger. Shoot you with the hose, will take my finger off the trigger. You're a dog, I'm allergic to you. I thought that we'd be cool, but tell me, what am I supposed to do, you dog? Said I'm allergic to fools. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. What you do comes back to you. D.O.G. Don't you come barking up my tree. Don't think you're taking over. Think you're taking over. Think you're taking over my territory. You're a dog, I'm allergic to you. I thought that we'd be cool, but tell me, what am I supposed to do, you dog? Said I'm allergic to fools. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. What you do comes back to you. Don't you come barking up my tree. Don't think you're taking over, mark my territory. You're the front of the litter, so don't let your head get bigger. Shoot you with the hose, won't take my finger off the trigger. You're a dog, I'm allergic to you. I thought that we'd be cool, but tell me, what am I supposed to do, you dog? Said I'm allergic to fools. Don't mistake my kindness for weakness. What you do comes back to you. yippee-yay. Bow wow wow, yippee-yo, yippee-yay. Bow wow wow, yippee-yo, yippee-yay. Bow wow wow, yippee-yo, yippee-yay. Oh, oh, oh.
Thank you, Paula, for being with us on this Talk Story series for Kauai Community Radio.
Yes, thank you so much, Thomas. I really appreciate your guys' time and your support, and look forward to, many more things in the future to come.
Talk Story was produced and engineered in the studio of KKCR by a grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Paula Fuga was interviewed by Thomas Kelleher, edited by Dove Little and Dean Rogers, mastered by Dove Little. For more information on KKCR, go to www.kkcr.org. Ahui ho, until we meet again.